Hello everybody, James O'Neill back again with another virtual edition of the Columbia Credit Union Remodeled Homes Tour. I'm in beautiful Richfield, Washington today. Going to meet up with Josh Holmgren and Dave Millimaki with ReNew Creations, and we're going to check out a project they finished up this past year. Josh, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for the invitation out. The hospitality is tremendous again. I mean, I've already kind of walked around the project and it looks fantastic. I can't wait to hear what got us here today. Now, when you're in construction, you always come across unique projects. Sometimes there's structural concerns, and also we want to upgrade it a little.
Okay.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about this project and how you're trying to meet the client's vision?
Yeah, so this one is a little out of the ordinary for our projects in that it started from a structural concern rather than a desire to update. Those two often go hand in hand. This one in particular, there was some failed waterproofing systems on this really big concrete deck. So that's really what triggered this all, is some concern over life safety. And when we kind of kicked off the construction or the pre-construction investigation, we started opening up some of the structure from beneath and found a lot of dry rot, actually a lot of wet rot, and some clearly failed waterproofing systems. And so over the course of a few months, we re-engineered the deck and drew up a set of plans, pulled together some permits so that we could pull this project all together before the rain really hit in earnest that winter, and really did a pretty major update. Took this right down to the framing and updated a lot of the framing underneath this structure as well.
So Josh, when I go visit friends, family, and also other projects in the past, traditionally decks, I would say majority of them are always a wood surface, maybe cedar, redwood, but living in the Pacific Northwest, wind-driven rain, we get exposure to all elements. So that turns into maintenance. Every couple of years, you're stripping, you're reviving that wood, and then you're resealing it.
Yeah.
So when I see a concrete surface like this and how beautiful it turned out, it just makes more sense. It's going to have a longer life cycle, but I could I'm imagining there's probably quite a process, and it could be very challenging installing this.
Yes, yep, that's the case, and that's the case certainly in new construction, and on a renovation project like this, there's some added layers of difficulty that we found. This deck is like dead center in this piece of property, so we don't have any direct access for machinery or anything that's going to make this a lot easier. So there was an existing concrete deck on this surface originally, and it was about 60,000 pounds that we had to cut up and remove all by hand before we could get down to repairing the structure, installing new waterproofing systems, and then repouring this deck.
Yeah, waterproofing systems is a kind of a needed thing here in the Pacific Northwest. It rains a little bit, not in July, but that's about it.
Yeah, and that was the original failure with this project, was when we got into it and kind of opened everything up, it was pretty clear that the membrane that had been installed was installed improperly from the beginning, and from day one it had been letting moisture into the structure. There was some significant rot in the main beams on the deck, so all that had to get replaced, and we had the opportunity to really take it down to ground zero, start all over again, and update the finishes for the masonry, the rails, to something that better fit the aesthetic that the client wanted.
And other challenges that maybe a lot of people don't realize is you guys had to navigate yourself around this beautiful landscape, which with 60 tons of concrete, and you want to keep this stuff beautiful out here. I imagine that was another creative
Yes.
part.
So there was a lot of protection for the existing, paver pathways and that kind of thing, as well as the existing landscape. Clients are always very understanding of this, and these clients are no exception. But on our end, we certainly want to do our very best not to have to, replant everything or kill any plants that may have some sentimental value, of course. So,
I think one of the highlights of a deck is obviously the railings, and the homeowner elected to go with a cable railing here. Is there a reason behind that decision?
Yes, and so rails are always, there's a pros and cons to a lot of the railing systems. Originally, the deck had a glass rail, and at first brush, that looks like a good option because it's a lot of visibility through it, and that's one of the pros of that. But the complaint the client had was that there's a lot of birds on the property here with all their beautiful landscape, and unfortunately, those birds couldn't see that glass, and they were having a lot of dead birds from that, along with the just the maintenance with the glass. It's difficult to keep that really looking pristine long term. So that pushed us in the direction of doing the cable rail system, and along with this aesthetic update, we also replaced all the masonry accents on the house as well. So that's all new with this project.
That's fantastic. I mean, it really does look beautiful. It goes well with the landscape. You can still see a beautiful area here, and their intention, a lot of it sound like to protect the wildlife in this area, and we do have the wildlife refuge right down the road here.
Yep. And we noticed while we were building, there is a lot of birds through here, and so it did make a lot of sense to go that route.
Well, that's great. That's good. So Josh, this is a large project, and the process as you explain it, it seems like there's a lot of unknowns, and predictability is very difficult. So when you're meeting with the client and you're trying to process, get that vision of what you want to accomplish, and also you're realizing that there's going to be a lot of unknowns that come into play when you are in the middle of the construction process. I mean, how do you go about putting a proposal together and communicating with the client here?
That's a really good question. So the key to that is that we do a lot of research up front. So we actually have a separate agreement that we will sign with the client for the project development. So that's going to be everything from design, selections, engineering, and right through to a complete estimate. And generally, that chunk of work takes about twice as long as the construction of the project does. So on a project like this, we might spend 6 months doing the research, developing the work completely, and then 3 months putting it all together.
There you go. Dave, good to see you.
How's it going, James?
You know, I always like talking to you more than Josh because we see eye to eye together. You know, you make me feel.
Well,
you make me feel
I
so
look
much
up
more
to you,
comfortable.
James.
And I've never heard that before, so that's thank you. Josh filled me in with the project, but what I'd like to hear from you is when you and Josh roll up to meet the client for the first time. I'm sure the process of the conversation just goes all different directions.
Oh, it does.
So tell us the starting point and where that leads.
Well, this project in particular is a great one to handle that question because when we first came out here, in fact, it was myself who came out the first time and met with the client who we didn't know previously, but she called us out to look at her kitchen cabinets and living room cabinets. We weren't talking about a deck at all. In fact, it ended up that there was one of our subcontractors who was perfect for the interior project that they needed, and I referred them to each other. And then from there, she asked me, do I know anyone who works on decks? And I said, well, certainly we do.
I create things.
Yes, if it has to do with a home, we do it.
Yeah.
So we walked out and took a look at this particular deck, and there were structural issues that were definitely needing to be addressed, but there was also this redesign that was essential as well. The home is beautiful, and as you can see, the surrounding area is
Stunning.
like something you'll never see anywhere else.
Yeah.
And for some reason unknown to us, this post was about this big by this big, and as they were sitting in their dining room at their table, this post, along with several others that were at the outskirts of this deck, were blocking their view.
Oh, so there was no view right there.
There was a view, but you had to be sitting just in the right spot, peering around these posts to see what was going on out there.
To go to waste.
So just the structure itself demanded that the project be done. It had to be done, or there were going to be severe problems here. But with the redesign, we were able to incorporate such slim lines and nice viewpoints that now they can sit anywhere in the home and see the beautiful surroundings that are in the area here.
We can watch the Raptor game.
They sure can.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can. If somebody hits a good one, they might even catch that ball.
Good thing you got rid of the glass on the railings there.
Yeah, you bet. The birds appreciate it too.
So Dave, we kind of came down and we're underneath the deck, and you know, the first thing that kind of pops out, not only the landscape, but these pillars. I mean, they really pop, and they really complement everything well.
Well, they do. And you know, two things about the pillars. One is, these are the same pillars that were here originally. They're just rebuilt with new materials that is solid. They're the same dimension as they used to be, but we clad them with new rock. Now you notice the size of these things, they're enormous.
Yeah.
And these are what we were talking about up above, that they used to extend up through the deck and above the rail system. And the mass of these things is what was blocking the view on the old deck previously. Now, with the new colors, and not only on the pillars, but throughout the structure here, we updated a lot of things style-wise and color-wise to be more in keeping with today's styles. The other thing that's really interesting down here is that by doing this membrane system beneath the concrete, everything is waterproof down here. And I don't know how many square feet this is, but this is an enormous space that allows outdoor living, and all seasons of the year. You can be out here if it's raining, snowing, whatever it's doing.
Yeah.
This is a very usable space.
Yes. Dave, thank you, and Josh, and the client.
Hey, thanks for coming out again,
It's a beautiful
James.
project, and I got my new virtual background for my Zoom.
It's quite a garden they have,
This
isn't
is
it?
gorgeous. This is gorgeous.
These people really
Yeah.
have one of the most beautiful yards that you'll see anywhere.
Yeah. Good thing you did not mess that up. It looks good. It looks good.
You bet.
Yeah. Beautiful job. Good job.
Well, thanks for coming out today.